Welcome back to Straight Facts on Friday. I'm here with the Don Hussam. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Big up to you. Big up to the Terrace audience. Straight Facts is here. Another international break. More of us watching Southgate ball, but we're here. Make sure you guys are liking. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the Terrace as well. And yeah, we're here.
We are here. And yeah, I mean, I'm not looking forward to Southgate ball later, to be fair. It's not only is it Southgate ball, it's friendly as well. So it's just, oh, please drop me out.
I put out a tweet, just a small poll. I'm like, genuinely, would rather watch England play. Like, would you rather watch Southgate ball or Luton versus Sheffield? 75% of the people voted Luton versus Sheffield.
That's mad. That's mad.
He's in the mud.
Yeah, mate, it tells you a hell of a lot indeed. We've got lots to go through today, people. We are going to take a look back because we haven't seen Hussam since the weekend's Premier League stuff. So we're going to get his take on what happened there, especially with the big one of Arsenal beating Man City. We're going to be looking at some transfers. We're going to be talking about the fixture schedule with, after the next international break, City versus Liverpool being the 12:30 kickoff straight after an international games, which many see as absolutely ridiculous. But we're also going to talk VAR as well. I've had my threats from the PG MOL, or they're threatening me about threatening me. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like we've all seen the kind of the good fellas. We know how it's done to begin with. We know how they strong arm you. But where I want to start is with you, Hussam, because It's been announced today. We know that Son has won Player of the Month for September, and Big Ange at Tottenham was celebrated again. Is that Manager of the Month 2 months running for him?
Yeah, 2 months running.
2 months running. And I saw this tweet from you. And this tweet said, if I speak, they'll say I'm obsessed. So I'll leave this one alone. What's your problem with you've got a problem with Tottenham PR. What's wrong with it?
I mean, Tottenham PR definitely disgusts me right now. I think it's a little bit over the top. When you unpack what Tottenham's done this season, I don't think it's as impressive as people make out at all. Ange Postecoglou definitely doesn't deserve Manager of the Month. I think, okay, if you want to give Son Player of the Month, I disagree with that. I think Salah should have won Player of the Month because he's been by far the best player on the pitch we've seen this month, in my opinion. Or Declan Rice, I could understand. But you know, it is what it is with Son. You know, he's a nice guy and shit. But I don't think Ange deserves it. I don't think Ange deserves it for this month, specifically given what happened in the Liverpool game. And I think, you know, you could even say, I think Arteta deserves it for this month because they did beat Manchester City, and this is a hurdle they haven't done in a while. I think with Tottenham Hotspur, the hype is too much right now. That's the ultimate reality, whether people like to admit it or not. Tottenham are getting overhyped to the point of no return right now, and it genuinely just gets on my nerves. Like, I just genuinely do not understand why there's so much hype for Tottenham Hotspur right now. When you look at the teams that they've beat, because people like to do context, so let's do context. When you look at the teams that they've beaten the 4 bottom teams in the Premier League. They've beaten Bournemouth, Luton, Sheffield, and Burnley. They've beaten Manchester United with no disrespect, Terry. We've seen Crystal Palace beat you, other teams beat you. It's not that special to beat Man United this season. And then we also what happened, the heist at the White Hart Lane for Liverpool. So for me, Tottenham haven't been tested yet. And the run after this international break will truly test them. Now, if Tottenham come through that run on the other side in a positive note, then we can speak. Then we can actually sit up here and do Ainge this, Ainge that. Okay, and you know, Ainge got a style of play going and blah, 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 blah. And it's all cute and shit. And he says, mate, in his press conferences, and he's a nice guy. That doesn't mean that you have to just shove him down our throats every single time. We're like, it's just Ainge hype, Ainge hype, Ainge hype, Ainge hype. Bro, they beat bottom 4 teams. Whether it was Conte, the manager, or Mourinho, or Nuno, they'd still beat those bottom 4 teams anyway. So it's just, and the Man United game, they make it look like it was a massacre. It wasn't a massacre. United hit the post twice. They could have scored 2. And then after that, with the Liverpool game, we also what happened. Spurs fans till this day act like they deserve to win that game. They didn't deserve it. So look, they haven't been tested yet. They haven't even been handed their first L yet. I think it's probably coming soon. But I think Spurs are probably 1 or 2 injuries away from crisis anyway. So let's see how Ainge handles that first before we start speaking about Ainge hype. Look, he doesn't deserve manager of the month, in my opinion. Son, fair enough. He scored 6 goals, so I'm going to just keep it stepping.
So who would you have given manager of the month to instead?
Arteta. Arteta, yes. Mikel Arteta deserves it for this month. You thought I was going to say Klopp, but I'm saying Arteta.
No, you couldn't say Klopp. You didn't lose. You lost. You've lost. Well, actually, no. One of those games you would have lost in October, to be fair. But no, I didn't think you were going to say Klopp. I just weren't sure who you were going to mention. But yeah, you go. I mean, Arteta's a fair shout for who they beat and what they overcame. I mean, to say Spurs haven't been tested.
Wait one second. The games were in October. Which games were in October? The Spurs game was in October, right?
And Spurs Liverpool can't have been in October. It was nearly 2 weeks ago. It might have been like the final. It might have been the 1st of October. Actually, it might have been the Sunday, the 1st of October. To be fair,
because if that's the case, then Klopp deserves it because he's won every single game in the month before.
He might have. He might have done
September 30th.
Okay, so it was the last day of the month. Fair enough. And he beat you in it. Yeah. I mean, when you say they haven't been tested, though, they have played Arsenal away, where they most of the time lose. They didn't. They did beat Man United, and they did beat Liverpool. So they've played 3 of last season's top 5 teams. They played 3 of the traditional top 6 and walked away with 5 points. And you did say, look, that you said they haven't suffered their first L yet. Well, that's why the manager's winning the awards, because they haven't lost a game yet. Like, surely that deserves praise.
They lost to Fulham
in the League Cup, but the manager got the Premier League Manager of the Month, and that was also in, I think, August, maybe early September. So I get that, but they haven't lost a game in the Prem. So I don't see what much there is to criticize. Or is this more about you just don't think this is sustainable?
I think the hype is overblown. That's just the ultimate reality. I think the hype is too much right now. Ainge is getting overhyped every single time, and it's so cringy, these fucking press conferences when they're like trying to just blatantly suck off the guy. I don't like that. I genuinely don't like that. Like, I despise it. There's an obvious media bias there. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. Look, I've unpacked it objectively. They have beaten the bottom 4 teams. We're not lying. Man United beat Burnley. Like, should Ten Hag then get praise? Like, Man United, everyone's beating Burnley this season. Luton Town, anyone who watched that game, because you see people don't like to do context. Luton Town, they literally had probably miss of the season from Adebayo on that game, and they had a run of 10 minutes where they could have scored like 2 or 3 times, but obviously they don't have the quality. So for us to sit up here and act like Ainge Postecoglou has been so revolutionary, and he's done so much, and he's done this and he's done that. Let's wait for them to get tested yet. And by the way, this isn't just my opinion. I think it was Opta who said that statistically speaking, Spurs have had the easiest start so far. Spurs have had the easiest start. It's not me making it up. You've played 4 of the bottom teams. Thank you. See? Easiest start. There you go then. Look how difficult Liverpool's start is compared to Spurs. Look there. Easiest test in the whole league. Tottenham Hotspur. So you can't sit there. I'm not Opta. You can't act like I made it up. I didn't make it up. It's the truth. I'm not Opta, bro.
So you feel like it's not what they're kind of doing essentially isn't sustainable. It will kind of fade away.
So, Spurs fall off is coming. The Spurs fall off is coming. And inshallah, we will be there. We will be there, inshallah. I cannot wait for the Spurs fall off. The Spurs fall off is something that I yearn for at this point. And, I've interacted with their fan base, over the past, a month or so. They keep calling me obsessed. I'm not obsessed. I'm just calling you out for what you are. I understand now why Arsenal fans laugh at Tottenham Hotspur. It has nothing to do with obsession or the VAR decisions. The VAR decision is not their fault. I'm just talking about them as a fan base. It's insane. So for me, I'll be honest with you. They have had the easiest start so far this season. They haven't been tested, in my opinion. And for me, I look at Tottenham Hotspur and I know that that's an explosion waiting to happen right there. It's just a ticking, when are we gonna bottle it? When are we gonna fall off? When are we gonna become crap again? And I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. And it's a high possibility it happens this month of October or early November next, because the run that they have is not an easy run. And then we will see the true quality of Tottenham Hotspur then.
Look, I look at it this way. I think they're going to make the Champions League this season with how it's looking right now. I think they'll maintain that. They won't win the league. I don't think they'll be in the title race per se when you get to that home straight, the last 10 games. But I think they should be praised for how well they've started. I think it's been a phenomenal start to the campaign. But equally, where I agree with you is I've seen, and I've called this out on a few shows. This isn't a dig at Spurs. It's the unprofessional punditry. I've seen people that last year wouldn't praise Arsenal until the last 10 games, praising Spurs after 8 games. And I see an hypocrisy in that. That there is, when I've seen Man United win games this season, but we haven't quite been at our best, or the opponents have missed big chances, it's been said that's an unsustainable win. I've seen Tottenham maybe win 3 games where you say, if VAR hadn't have had a mare, if Luton hadn't missed crazy big chances, and Man United in the first half, and even after Spurs scored their first goal, missed so many gilt-edged chances, some of those games could have been different. And the Man United game really bothered me. And part of this is, as a Red, the way it was portrayed that Spurs schooled Man United in that game. I looked back at it and thought to myself, I mean, those gilt-edged chances in the first half, Anthony hitting the post just literally a minute after they scored, we should be taking those chances and blame us. But this idea that we were outclassed for 90 minutes and we didn't have a sniff and we weren't in the game is a little bit disingenuous. So I do agree with you that certain media outlets.
You don't think Ainge is getting overhyped right now?
Sorry, go on.
You don't think Ainge is getting overhyped right now? Like, objectively speaking, you don't think they're doing too much Ainge hype?
Look, what's happening is, it's, again, yes, I do in certain circumstances, like I'm saying. My view is, before Spurs fans get angry, they should be praised for their start to the season. I think Big Ange is a breath of fresh air. They're doing better than 99.9% of people believe they would be after 8 games. I do believe it's been their greatest ever start to a Premier League campaign as well. So all of that needs praise. The point is, what I think is happening is this. Arteta's doing a great job now, but it's taken 3.5 to 4 years to get there. Ten Hag had a good start. If you look at the overall season, what came third, won a trophy. It took Klopp a while to get Liverpool cooking. I think what certain people are doing is like, wow, this is how quickly you can rebuild a team, 8 games. And I think what's wrong about that is that it's too short a period, because 1 or 2 injuries to the wrong players and they could have a drop-off. If in the next 8 games, they lose 3 of them, does that mean this? If the rebuild is complete success after 8 games, if in the next subsequent 8 games they lose 3, is it now suddenly an abject failure? No, it isn't either. It's a good start. And what I will say, though, is a lot of Spurs fans who have come onto the terrace, so Sava, Patrick, Alan, many of them that have come on at super chatters like Jerome, have all kind of said happy with the start, but not getting carried away. And I think for me, that's the key component here. It's about not getting carried away. Some people I've seen online are like, we're challenging our rebuilds quicker and better than Arsenal's, better than Man United. We're on our way back. We've got our club back. I'm just sort of like, slow down a little bit. So I do get where you're coming from, but I do think Ange probably deserves manager of the month in the first 2 months. I think that he has been a breath of fresh air. I think they've been a great start, but they shouldn't get too carried away, because in life, especially for dating a young lady, gentlemen, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And that's the key component here.
If Spurs challenge for the league, I will come on the terrace, dye my hair white, and sing "Oh When the Spurs Go Marching In" from start to finish. If that happens, it's not going to happen. Spurs are not going to challenge for the title. Let's stop being ridiculous. They'll be lucky to make top 4. I'll be sorry with you. Certain people live in utopia, like they get overhyped in the moment. I'm not getting overhyped in the moment. I think Newcastle is better than them. I think Man United is better than them. I think Chelsea is better than them. On paper, that is. They just have to apply themselves better, but we will see if they do. With Tottenham Hotspur, listen, people need to understand, injuries are going to happen. Robertson just got injured on international duty. Injuries happen. This is not utopia where injuries don't happen. Every team is going to get injuries. That Spurs side is literally 2 injuries away from a crisis. So I'm not going to sit up here and say anything about Spurs like, oh my God, they deserve so much credit. Why? Because they pass the ball nicely. And so what? Luton Town literally penetrated their goal like 3, 4, 5 times, and that's fucking Luton Town. So yeah, that's my honest opinion. Look, I'm just being real. I'm just saying, I'm predicting this before it happens, because we all know the ultimate Spurs downfall is gonna happen soon, and we will see. Because now, if they come onto this next run against Chelsea and City and Palace and Wolves, blah blah blah, and they've won games, okay, fair enough. Then we will say they're actually serious. But right now, I'm not gonna sit up here and say anything nice about Spurs. Get tested first. Liverpool have been tested. Man United have been tested. Man City have been tested. Arsenal have been tested. Spurs have had by far the easiest start to the season, as by Opta, not just me. So if I played, so you think so? So let's let's be honest here, Terry. Imagine now Liverpool had the same exact schedule that Spurs had. We played the bottom 4 teams. That's easy 12 points right there. No disrespect, but we'd beat Man United at home. No disrespect. The Brentford draw, we'd probably beat them at home as well. That's already 7 wins, just like that. That's already, like, I'm not even exaggerating. I'm just 7 wins. And you know what? I'm going to say we even lose at the Emirates away. That's still 21 points. Like, it's just, we can't sit up here and create fake, false scenarios. The reality is they have had an easy start. And I'm not going to sit up here and do too much Ainge prop. I'm just not. It's just how it goes, man. All this manager of the month crap. We will see. Listen, you can pick up all the awards you want in October. We'll see in May who's picking up the awards. And it won't be you. I promise you that.
Beyond here says, thought we won manager of the month, not who will win the league award.
You've never said that your whole life, Beyond.
Probably not. Spurs got gifted against Liverpool and lucky with Jorginho gift against Arsenal. Otherwise, they would have had 0 points instead of 4.
Thank you.
I mean, look, this is the one thing. There has been a bit of luck in those games as well, and that luck typically evens itself out over the course of the season as well. So, 3 home games for Spurs. Is that all they've had? Is 3 home games?
And who have their away games been? Who?
Their
Other than,
okay,
Emirates.
Arsenal. It has to be Arsenal, Luton,
Burnley,
Brentford, Burnley, and somebody else. I can't remember off the top of my head.
We're acting like they played tough games. They ain't played no damn tough games. Easy games. Brentford have been crap this season, by the way. Brentford have been actually rubbish without Toney. You beat them in the last second, but even you would admit Brentford aren't amazing. I actually went on multiple shows post that game, and I said, guys, Brentford didn't even deserve to beat. They didn't deserve
in that game against Brentford. It's disingenuous. We were lucky in the sense that we scored with the last 2 shots of the game, but we could have scored. The goalie was having a blinder, and Pinnock at the back, the blocks he made and the clearances he made were ridiculous. If we'd have scored 2 goals earlier, which we deserved to through the play, the rhetoric would have been, United only won 2-1. It could have been 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. So
no, I'm not saying you're lucky. I'm saying I disagree with people saying you're lucky.
No, I hear you.
Brentford were crap on the day.
No, I hear you. We outplayed them massively. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. So I hear where you're coming. I hear where you're coming from when you say that. Viewers, do us a big favor, please, and smash like buttons. Get that done right now. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well, and you've got the bell notifications turned on for us. Did you see last night another case of horrendous refereeing? Now, this wasn't English referees this time. I'm not too sure who the ref was. I'm pretty sure English referees don't referee Scotland games. But did you see Scott McTominay's goal get disallowed?
I did not see it. Actually, you know what? I just don't watch international football.
Bruv.
I just don't.
Bruv. Let me explain it. I can't show it because of copyright. Let me explain it. Do you remember Tony Kroos's free kick?
Let me go see it as you speak on it. McTominay goal?
Go watch. The free kick from McTominay is out of this world. He shouldn't be able to do it. It's that good. And as you see when he does it, there is a Scotland player who looks like he might be offside, and he slightly nudges the goalkeeper. Okay. However, the goal's given in real time. No Spain players moan. The goalkeeper doesn't moan. Nobody on the bench of Spain moans. The commentators, no one's even talking about it being given away. Then VAR get involved. And VAR initially rule the goal out for a foul. They say it's too much of a push on the goalkeeper. He wouldn't have saved it anyway, but they give it as a foul. That isn't the controversy. That is controversial. The controversy is, now when you listen to this, it's crazy. 20 minutes later, they updated and told the commentators, because the commentary teams have a direct link to the VAR. They changed their mind after 20 minutes and said, actually, we've decided we're going to disallow it for offside. And so far, there is no conclusive evidence. We've not seen the lines that it was offside. So right now, there is a debate happening. Did they give it as a foul or did they give it as offside? This is as bad, in my opinion, as the lack of transparency and decision-making that led to Liverpool's mistake, that led to the Kovovic mistake at the weekend. And these are all variants. And I know we had a big debate last week about some being objective and some being subjective. We heard Howard Webb from his own mouth, which is to why I had the video that I titled "We Cheated Arsenal" in quotations. I've added a question mark to it now just so people don't get triggered. But he literally said in that the reason that Kovacic didn't get a second yellow is because the referee didn't want to ruin the game. So in your match, they wouldn't break the procedures to give you a goal. In the Arsenal game, they broke the procedures to keep 11 v 11. And last night, when it comes to referees and VAR, we have no clue what they did because they've given it as a foul and an offside, but not shown any evidence of either, in my personal opinion, because I can't see it as a foul, and we haven't seen the lines drawn to know it's offside. VAR was something I advocated massively when it first came in. Genuinely. Now, this thing, I've got to say it, it's killing football, and I understand why people say there is potentially corruption behind this, because it almost felt like, oh no, Spain might lose here. Let's see if we can find a way to get rid of this goal. That's how it feels looking at it. That may not be the case, but when you think about decisions we've seen in recent weeks, I love that picture. It totally, to me, looks like, I don't even know what it looks like. It just looks horrendous as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, you've seen the goal now as well. Like,
I've just seen that. I've actually seen it from the angle from one of the United Twitter accounts. I've seen it from the angle from behind the keeper, where it's actually showing the entire clip. And I replayed it 3 times just to figure out where the fuck the foul is. I didn't even see a foul. I'm like, okay, so like, I just watched it 3 times. And I kept going back to the moment the goal happened. I'm like, okay, so where is the foul exactly? Like, why was this cancelled? It's getting to the point. Look, international football is something separate. I'm gonna push that to the side now to speak about the competition that we watch every week, and that is the English Premier League. I've seen what Howard Webb said, and I think it's pathetic. I don't give a shit about referees protecting their referee buddies on the football pitch. This is not what VAR was brought in for. I cannot blame a Ferrari because I can't drive a Ferrari. We need to stop blaming VAR as a system and start blaming referees who operate VAR. Offside decisions should be so obvious, and they can't even get that correct. You know why? Because they didn't want to implement Champions League technology. Me and you spoke after the Galatasaray game. We said there was no need to speculate. There was no need for us to sit up here and talk about referees. Why? Because it was made graphically. We saw exactly where Højlund was offside, and everyone just kept it stepping. You're like, okay, this part is offside, that part is offside, and that's it. We can't even implement a system that's already there. The Serie A implement that system, and the Serie A make not even 1/10 the money the Premier League makes. Second thing is, with refereeing decisions, with all due respect, if we're expecting 11 players on each side to deliver in high pressure moments, high pressure situations on the football pitch for our entertainment, then we should be expecting referees to be able to deliver in high pressure moments, high quality, important decisions. That's the ultimate reality. The reality is these referees in the big occasion always bottle the big decision. Kovacic's moment, the reason why it pissed me off more than anything, Kovacic's moment was Curtis Jones and Jota in the same moment. I'll tell you why. The first tackle, people were like, whoa, that's like Curtis Jones's tackle. Why hasn't he been sent off? And the second tackle, you're like, wait a minute. Last week, you sent Jota off for 2 successive yellows. Those are obviously 2 successive yellows. Why is Kovacic on the pitch? Now we're sat here, nothing's happened. You know, the reason why people aren't moaning is because Arsenal won the game. Let's sit up here and address a realistic scenario. What if City won that game 1-0 with a Kovacic assist or a Kovacic goal? Then what are we sat here saying? Release the PGMOL releasing the Martial offside audio. What does that add value to me? Nothing.
Because everybody knew that was offside. Everybody knew it was offside. No one complained about it.
Everyone knew it. We all watched the game. We all knew it. They should release the Kovacic audio. I want to hear it. And this is where people come at us and go like, oh, Liverpool's victim, blah, blah, blah. Why aren't Arsenal escalating? Huh? Why aren't Arsenal asking the PGMOL to release the audio? Why is it like I'm just saying, because Arsenal, they apply pressure, and then the week after United apply pressure, and the week after this guy apply pressure, and then that's how we get these PGMOL people to actually start getting decisions right. Because no matter who you support, you could be supporting Spurs or Chelsea and absolutely can't stand Arsenal, and you know that Kovacic should have sent him off. Professor Hamza, who's the most shameless man on earth, even he admitted, he's like, Kovacic should have been sent off. So for me, I'm not sat here going like, oh my God, it's just Liverpool. I understand it's not just Liverpool. The VAR is crap for us all. But that doesn't mean that we're going to sit up here and accept it. I'm not going to accept it. By the way, against Brighton, Pascal Gross should have been sent off. Clear goal-scoring opportunity right in front of the goalkeeper. Doesn't get sent off.
Without a shadow, there was so many over the weekend. Bruno Guimaraes should have been sent off. There was a push in the back of a West Ham player by Isak that should have seen the goal disallowed, in my opinion, based on the fact that against Tottenham, a very similar push happened and they disallowed a goal. And you know what's interesting? This is why I said to you last week, it's not about objective decisions versus subjective decisions. It's about the transparency of the process. Because Mike Dean has spoken about how he didn't give a red card for the violent conduct when Cucurella had his hair pulled. And he said, and his words were, I only had a few seconds to review the footage. But when you go back and watch it again, there was 1 minute and 10 seconds of review. So again, maybe when Mike Dean has spoken about this 6 months, a year later, your brain can do this. We all go through this. Sometimes we exaggerate stories. Sometimes we play them down. Sometimes you and your friend can be at a party and something happens. And 5 years later, you both tell the story again. And there's some differences because your memory's different. However, release the audio. We know for a fact it was looked at for 1 minute and 10 seconds. I want to know what was said and why it wasn't given. If they release that information live to us, this creates the precedence that we can hold and standards that we can hold everybody to. If, for instance, they say any push like that on a player leads to a goal being disallowed, and we hear them say it and we get their rationale, we as fans won't forget. They then use it as a precedent. Any push on the defender that leads to a goal, you then have to disallow. You can't allow some and not others. You can't send Jota off for 2 yellows and not Kovacic, and give the reason as we didn't want to ruin the game. And that's
but you ruined the Spurs game then.
Bro, do you know the biggest part about it is
that's
fans?
the part.
I remember last year I did a video, went crazy viral when something happened in this North London derby, and somebody said, "No, you can't give reds. It's North London derby." And I hit the roof. I don't remember who said it now, but I hit the roof and I was like, "Hang on, think about what you're saying. That a player A can get away with violent conduct or 2 yellows in a massive clash. But some poor sod who plays for Luton or who plays for Sheffield United in the same game against the same opponent would be sent off. If that's how you referee games, when you take the occasion into consideration, the whole integrity of the sport is dead. It means that there are certain games of the year where you can get away with worse fouls. That can never be the case. From the first whistle until the final whistle. And you see this in every game. First 10 minutes, how hard is it to get a yellow card? It's almost impossible. 11 minutes in, you definitely get booked. It's ridiculous. It means in those first 10 minutes, somebody can get away with a cynical shirt pull that they can't get away with on minute 11. It's all ridiculous. Referee the game by the law and be consistent with your application. And I know people say it's subjective. We all know it's subjective. But if we see 3 players get goals disallowed for a certain action and then player 4 doesn't, how do we as the fans remember, but the referees as a unit in a group that are all mic'd up to each other, can all hear each other, don't remember, actually, guys, we've already given the last 6 times this happened, we gave it as goals, we've got to give it. If we heard that conversation, we would never be challenging them for corruption. We would never be saying they're incompetent. We would go, look, they're trying to be fair. And at the end of the day, we remember those decisions as fans. They should remember those decisions. And the fact that they don't is why people are calling them out. And honestly, what they're doing in the game is horrendous.
Because if that was a Luton Town player on Declan Rice, 100% he's gets sent off. 100. By the way, let me make this clear. He gets sent off for the first tackle. Never mind them waiting the other 2. Because in their mind, it's Luton Town, you know. There is no like bad reaction from fans worldwide because no one supports Luton Town like that. Of course, with all due respect, I'm not saying it in a snobby way. I'm saying like as in Luton aren't a global club, you know. So because what I mean is there isn't like going to be fans upset and it's not going to be trending on Twitter if Luton get, something happens to Luton. So they probably would have sent him off for the first tackle. And you know, I remember last time you said, you know, keep the same energy, etc. I went back to a rant I had after City Fulham. City Fulham at the Etihad, anyone who watched that game, Fulham were in that game. Akanji makes an attempt, clearly getting into the way of the Fulham goalkeeper, and the goal gets given. From then, I actually had a 10-minute rant, and I said, guys, this isn't about Manchester City. This is about the VAR and refereeing in the whole league. And now if you're telling me you didn't want to ruin a top 6 game, okay, Liverpool played Spurs. You gave Jota 2 consecutive yellows, of which the first one wasn't even deserving of a yellow to begin with. So where do we go from here? The problem is the consistency isn't there. So I can't, as a Liverpool fan, sit up here and act like, oh, Kovacic couldn't have been sent off because it would ruin the flow of the game. Okay, maybe if they didn't send off Jota, I would agree. Okay, fair enough. You're trying to keep the game going, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you should referee the game by the rules, not by the occasion, not by it's Liverpool versus United, so I'm not trying to send someone off. So you're telling me if it's the 2nd minute and Bruno Fernandes punches Mo Salah in the face, he shouldn't get sent off because it's the first minute? Like, we have to sit up here and be realistic. And it's getting to the stage now where all fans of all clubs are just sat here going like, the refereeing decisions are simply atrocious in the league. They're actually atrocious. And there's nothing that we actually genuinely, and this is why I wish Arsenal actually escalated the situation and asked for the audio to be released, because that would have been the second one, the genuine second one, like in a week that's been released. And then there will be more pressure, because we can't sit up here and keep accepting statements and apologies and shit like that. And the fact that Hardweb is coming out and saying, oh, it's because we didn't want to undermine. No, but it's not about undermining Michael Oliver. It's about sending the guy off if he deserves to get sent off. How about that smart idea? And that whole game changes. That whole game changes. This isn't a City thing. This isn't a United thing, not a Liverpool thing, not an Arsenal thing. This is a refereeing thing that needs to be fixed in the whole league. And it's getting to the stage where it's just pathetic at this point. It's actually genuinely pathetic. Fuck that, man. Just bring in like the Italian refs or a German
refs. You know what's interesting about it, though? When people
and also, let me just say something quickly. Everyone in the Premier League pays the repercussions for their team failing. If Man United lose the next 3, 4, 5 games, Ten Hag will get sacked. If player X does not perform in the next 4, 5 games, he gets dropped. Like, it's just everyone pays. Us as content creators, if Liverpool lose the next 4 games, I'm going to have to come up here in front of 2,000 people and explain why the fuck Liverpool lost. Same with you and Man United. Everyone pays consequences except referees. Simon Hooper refereed directly a day after Fulham Chelsea. What are we doing here? Well, like, no repercussions whatsoever? It's insane.
Mate, I agree with you. And this is what I'd say about the whole thing, though. People always say subjectivity, though, Terry, versus objectivity. I don't think people understand the definition of those words and how the word subjectivity, when it comes to a red card tackle or violent conduct, it's too vague because it's ridiculous. Listen to this. I just want to read out this objectivity versus subjectivity. Subjectivity is self-centered and based on speculations, sentiment, and experiences. Objectivity is outward focused based on observable facts and data that can be proven true. So when it comes to subjective decisions, it should still be based on objectable facts and consistencies in data. So if Casemiro's red card is a red card, if Curtis Jones's red card is a red card, there's not a big enough difference between those tackles and Kovacic's for the other to not be a red. If Jota's 2 fouls are red, like yellow equal red, what Kovacic did is exactly the same. When it comes to the pushes, Luton player pushes Romero, goal disallowed. Isak pushes the West Ham player, goal is allowed. When it comes to subjectivity, it becomes nonsensical to me because when you watch football as regularly as I do, and I assume that these referees are watching multiple games a day, especially VAR, they're watching multiple games a day, that your objectivity has to be based upon the consistency of the decisions made. Therefore, they become over time less subjective because we always give goals when this happens. We always disallow goals when this situation occurs. That way, the consistency is created and there isn't the problems. And this, for me, is the issue with this. Oh, it's just subjective. That means you can just one day decide you're going to give it and the next day you decide you're not. That's not how subjectivity works or objectivity. You're only objective about things because it's based on fact. And if you see 5 players get sent off for tackle A and then the 6th player doesn't, There's no subjectivity, in my opinion, about it, unless you can show us. And this is the irony. They say clear and obvious mistake. I still don't know what that means. But then they'll turn around and go, well, the reason Kovovic probably didn't get sent off is because his foot was slightly higher up and not sideways. How is that a massive error from the others that have all been sent off? That is a small detail. There is not a huge differential between the two. Yet a red card and a yellow card offence, in my opinion, are very different. They always talk about one was an orange card. There's no such thing as an orange card. It was either reckless and dangerous or it wasn't. And for me, that's my biggest issue
orange cards introduce them then. Like, it's just, introduce orange cards then. No?
Yeah, maybe introduce an orange card and it's like, I don't know, a sin bin for 10 minutes or something. But for me, this objectivity versus subjectivity, it just proves to me that people don't understand what objectivity means, and you're basing it on facts. And for me, if I see 100 goals disallowed for players bumping into goalkeepers when they jump, and then my team concedes a goal when the goalie's jumping and he gets bumped into and it isn't given, I don't understand how that's subjective when all the objective data says that you get those goals disallowed. It becomes, again, maybe I don't know how smart the people are that run this. I definitely don't think the media question them in a smart way. And this is, I think, what we need. We need the referees, maybe not the referee directly, but the representation of PGMOL on fan channels. And we need to get to, well, listen, if I got to do it, I'd speak politely. I wouldn't be rude. I wouldn't be nasty. But I would challenge them in the way that fans speak. And I would ask for clarity on certain matters. That clarity, if it was given, would probably stop 95% of the problems that we have. The difference is we're in the dark. And when people are kept in the dark, when people are wound up, when they don't understand what's going on, you're always going to get a more ferocious reaction to what we perceive to be, ironically, subjectively perceived to be bad decisions. But do you know why we're subjectively angry? Because we don't see the objectivity being taken care of, because we see two of the same things too regularly being judged in different ways. And we as fans see it all one way, but yet for some weird reason, referees and a fraction of the media always seem to find it a different way. It's crazy to me, absolutely crazy.
It is crazy, and it's getting to the stage where, like, some, you know, I don't really watch the Jordanian league like that, but sometimes, like, when I do switch on the Jordanian league just to watch, like, the team that I like in the country, big up Al Faisali, I'm like, Jordanian refs are actually probably more decisive or even Premier League referees. And you know, the whole point of VAR, Terry, and I was like you, because I still remember at the start, people were either pro VAR or against VAR. I'm more towards, like, I was so pro VAR because I was like, I thought VAR was supposed to take subjectivity to, like, you can't 100% take subjectivity out, but you can take it to a certain extent out, to a certain extent. So let's say in the past it was 60% subjective, 40% objective. It should now become 10%, 15% subjective, and the rest objective, like offside decisions, like stuff like that. So when I watch the Premier League now, it's still, even with technology, mostly subjective, because we're sat here, we're sat here, you know, talking about like subjective decisions that are inconsistent with each other. Jota, 2 quick yellows ruins the flow of a top 6 game. Kovacic, I'm not going to give you 2 quick yellows because it ruins the flow of the game. Tackle by Kovacic on the guy, not a red card on the ankle of Declan Rice. Curtis Jones wins the ball, slips, and then slides into the guy's foot. Oh, but it was dangerous, so here's a red card. It's just so much inconsistency with the decisions. All we need is consistency. I'm gonna give you guys a quick example. If Terry punches me in the face and he gets a yellow, next week, if I punch Igal in the face, I better get a yellow. It's as simple as that. You cannot give a punch yellow and another punch red. That is the biggest problem. And for me, the incompetency of not making high pressure decisions, because Terry, when you think about it, low key, most fucked up decisions have been made in high caliber games. Like, when you think about it, it's rarely like Luton v Liverpool or Wolves v Man City or something like that. 99% of the time, it's actually in top 6 clashes, which shows me that under pressure, they bottle.
They can employ me to sit in their truck, and I guarantee you, with the amount of football I watch, whenever a decision happens where, oh, is this violent conduct, I'd be able to sit there, let alone having the data in front of me and maybe a collection of the footage. But on top of my head, go, yeah, that's a red because these 4 players were sent off for something similar. And I want to quote something here, another quote. This is from a very smart man called Albert Einstein who said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And this is where subjectivity is wrong, because being objective is based on facts and measurable data. The measurable data is the consistency of decisions that you give. If, for instance, you see two really bad studs high tackles that hit a shin, if you can barely explain, or you struggle to explain in basic terms the difference between the two and show why they're clearly different, you're either lying or you don't understand why the decision was made. And if you don't understand why the decision was made, you know that it was wrong. And therefore, it should have been given as a red card. And on the Kovacic one, Howard Webb said something that made me laugh. He said, well, reason I don't think it's a red is because his foot hits the floor first, then hits the shin and ankle. And you know what I thought was funny about that? And again, if I was Michael Owen, I'd have gone, excuse me, Mr. Webb. How is it less of an offense to hit the ground marginally first and then the ankle and shin with the studs, but yet winning the ball first, which is what your objective is, and then your foot bouncing off the ball and hitting the shin is more of an offense than touching the ball not in any capacity? That would be my question, because that is what every football fan says. Hang on a minute. So winning the ball first and then following through and hitting his leg is a red. Missing the ball, hitting the floor and following through onto his leg makes it a yellow. That doesn't make any sense. There's no subjectivity about that in my brain. In my head, I'm sitting there thinking, no, I want an objective, factual, detailed answer as to why that makes sense. And if Michael Owen asked that question in a politer way than I'm probably behaving now, if he asked that question and Howard Webb goes, I don't, then we know there's a deeper problem, and we can, and then we can help him and say, right, well, take that and go, right, we now know all those challenges are reds, and fans would accept it if they saw fairness. And I guarantee you, and I mean this with no disrespect to Howard Webb, I bet off the cuff, if he didn't know that question was coming, he wouldn't be able to answer it in a way where we would go, oh, that, and this is what I want. We've all done this with professional people of other industries where we go, I don't get something. You ask them a question, they explain it, and you go, well, that makes sense. That's what I want from these guys, ex-refs and Howard Webb. They should explain a situation and we go, oh, yeah, sorry, I am ignorant. I lacked understanding. Instead, they explain it and we sit there and go, hang on a bloody minute, I've got another 5 questions now. And typically that tells you they're hiding something. And whether it's they're hiding mistakes, whether they're hiding protecting a friend, whether they're hiding corruption, I don't know what they're hiding. But for me, I smell a rat. I smell a rat every step of the way.
I think they're trying to have certain narratives. I really believe it. I think they're trying to do some Vince McMahon storylines at this point. Like, they really are trying to do storylines. They're just waiting for Klopp to moan in a press conference so they can all come out and say, Klopp is moaning. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just something is brewing. They're trying to create an Arsenal Man City title race, maybe leave other teams out of it, trying to do some Tottenham hype. I genuinely don't understand what it is with the Premier League. The thing is, the product is good. There's a reason why the Premier League is the most watched league in the world. Let's all cut the crap here. I've lived in the Middle East my whole life. In the Middle East, it was 90, no exaggeration, 99% of people watch La Liga growing up. That has shifted so much in the last 10 years that now there's probably more people who even watch Premier League games other than Barcelona and Madrid, of course, because they're massive like around the world. Many people are watching Premier League games. The product is good. The product is making the people want to watch. But then even with the product being good, you cannot, after the product being so good, come up here and not give me people who can make high quality, correct decisions in big pressure moments. That's the ultimate reality. And if they can't do it, then I want to see repercussions. Drop that ref to the championship if he makes multiple mistakes. Do something so we can actually see that you're trying to solve it. Yeah. Or, by the way, when the PGMOL statements come out, this is what we've done wrong, and this is how we're going to handle it better going into the future. Something like that, Just explain it to us. And what Terry just said is true. If you can explain it simply, then you yourself don't understand it. Instead of you going like, I'm going to stick up for my mate, and I don't want to embarrass my mate publicly. Well, guess what? You've just pissed off 500 million Liverpool fans around the world because that whole situation was wrong. And what you just said as well with Curtis Jones and Kovacic, there's a reason why I was laughing when he said it. If your excuse is going to be he hit the floor first, my brother Curtis Jones won the ball first. Never mind floor. He actually got the ball.
Exactly.
And if you watch that in slow replay or or in quick motion. The problem is they gave him the freeze frame. If you watch that, you see Curtis Jones won the ball, slipped on his left foot, slid into Bissouma. People are like, oh, you know what? It's dangerous play, blah, blah. Next week, you could even argue the Kovacic tackle was worse, and they still didn't send him off. Listen, it's just a joke at this point. It's actually a joke.
Mate, I hear you completely. Thank you, Luke, for that super chat. It means a great deal to us. Terry vocalizing the gymnastics my mind goes through. Thank you, Grant. I appreciate that. On the overlap, Roy Keane said the second Kovacic tackle was not a second yellow. Again, I'd have to watch it. I haven't watched that show yet. Did he mean it from he doesn't think those cards should be yellows? That's fine. But we see them given. So it's not about whether I think it is or it isn't. It's about the consistency of those decisions. A great example is the Martinelli double standard. Yeah, I mean, that was legitimately ridiculous. If you're not going to do it to other people, it's absolutely right. It's not crazy, Terry. It's corruption. That's how it works. When common sense isn't being used, it's where the corruption is. It's reality. It's a fair point. Terry, ask Sam about Trent on Gordon's second yellow.
I don't even remember the tackle that you're talking about.
So he was booked, and then the second yellow, Gordon was running past him, and I think he put his arm across him to stop him from running. Probably should have been a red card, probably. It was in the Newcastle
I generally
game.
don't even remember it. That's how, like, I generally don't even remember it.
This is back to Spurs. Name one clear-cut chance we had against Brentford. So this is what you're not listening to. So we had some good shots that were saved. What I was saying to you is this. In that game, there were so many chances where good balls were put into the box. But just as a man's about to pull the trigger, you had Pinnock there getting those blocks in, doing some craziness. And then the first two times in the game that he doesn't get his blocks in, we score from it. The point I'm making is if those two goals would have come earlier with the abundance of opportunities, crosses, chances, through balls that were put into that box, nobody would have said it was lucky. It's just sometimes if you score 2 goals in the first 2 minutes and win 2-0, no one says you're lucky. You score 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, they say you're lucky, even if the rest of the games play out exactly the same. That's the point that's being made there, my friend.
And also, by the way, I just want to call out this guy. Can you just, because I have a problem with people who say that. You know, the same guy earlier who said, like, name the clear-cut chance. You need to understand something, my brother. When we watch football games, no one here has a pen and paper in front of him and they're like, Rashford chance, minute 38. This guy chance, minute. I hate when people, genuinely, it pisses me off when people go like, name the clear-cut chance. I'm a Liverpool fan. Here. I'm wearing the Liverpool shirt right here. 11-12, away kit. I'm wearing a Liverpool shirt right now, and I'm telling you, I watched that game. As a matter of fact, I done a hate-along for it. But I never once thought in that game that Brentford deserved to win it. And I'm saying this as a Liverpool fan. Brentford didn't deserve to win that game. They simply didn't. I think, okay, even, you know what, even if I'm being completely honest, you would say, okay, like based on their defending, even Terry just said, maybe fair enough, they deserve a draw. But you can't come up here and tell me Brentford deserved to win that game or who was the better team, because Brentford didn't create anything. It was simply a low block, long ball. Mbeumo tried to do something on the counter. Wissa tried to do something on the counter. Like, I just remember one shot in the first half from Wissa, maybe the second half as well, one from Mbeumo. That's it. So Man United were much more dangerous in possession. And specifically, when they brought on Garnacho, went wider. When they went wider, it helped them out. So, listen, I don't think anyone's going to sit up here and remember specific chances. Like, come on, man. Oh, it just annoys me when people say this.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely. Why not put McTominay as an 8 like Xhaka was it? Yeah, look, I think he should play further forward. He definitely can't hold the ball too well. I agree. Thank you. I really appreciate this topic, and I urge all supporters and big YouTube, Twitter, and social media accounts to continue propping and holding these refs accountable. Keep up the great work. And look, I'll say thank you, Snake Eyes. I'll say this as well. We don't need to abuse them and be nasty. We can call things out. We can be honest about things. I'm not upset that the PGMOL, I keep getting it wrong, messaged me and come to me and wanted clarification of what I meant. And I said it and I stand by it. Yeah, the quote tweet was my statement that we cheated Arsenal. Same as today, I put an Arsenal cheating scandal. And it's because it's like, I think Arsenal have been cheated here. And I do think they've been cheated. And it may not be, so you could, sometimes cheating people isn't through corruption. Sometimes there's a famous quote from a very famous film, which is there's no such thing as perfect men, just perfect intentions. And that was said by Morgan Freeman's character in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner in the 90s. And it was a saying that stayed with me my whole life. And it's true. Sometimes I think the refs think they're doing the right thing, where they turn around and go, oh, I'm not going to send him off. It's probably going to be worse for the game if I do. That's a wrong way to think. So they still need to be criticized because that criticism makes them make better decisions in the future.
Facts.
They are realizing audio for decisions that they are clearly, they are releasing audio for decisions that they clearly got right now. They are trying to keep themselves looking transparent. Yeah, I agree.
That's the Martial thing that we spoke about earlier on. Why the hell are you releasing the Martial audio? Like why? Like what the hell? Why would I give a F about the Martial audio? I'm so sorry. Like, listen, I just generally don't even know what to say, bro. Like, okay, you guys got the offside. This is correct. Yay! Like, come on, man, release the Kovovic audio. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, no, mate, I totally agree. Why did Baby Steve quit? 3 losses. No, listen, I'll always read out the super chats. Big Steve, there's no issues with Big Steve. Me and Steve get on fine. He's just got a lot of work elsewhere, and that was his decision, and that's it. There's nothing else to it other than that. There's no issues. There's no animosity. He's still a mate. He's got a lot of opportunity and work coming elsewhere, and he didn't have the time, essentially, and that's it. What do you guys think of Howard's refereeing in the 2010 World Cup? I heard people complimenting him for not giving the Dutch red cards.
If that game happened in 2023, there's at least 6 reds in that game. Telling you right now, that Spain versus Holland game, Nigel de Jong is getting sent off on Xabi Alonso. Just like that, I remember one of the moments. Just like that, I remember moments. Like, I'll be honest with you, that game was like a WWE game. But refereeing was different back then.
It was a little different, but equally, if the Dutch had won, the response to the refereeing would have been different because they should have been the team really that lost the majority of the players off the pitch. So again, the outcome of the result often dictates how good or bad we criticize refereeing decisions. And I think that for me is where the issues kind of lie surrounding these things. This year says Arsenal, Liverpool, and City are title contenders this year. I feel this time Arsenal will end up winning the league if they can sign Toney and Neto in the winter. Nelson and Nketiah should be sold.
He didn't mention Spurs, even though they were top of the league. There is an imposter amongst us, ladies and gentlemen. There is an imposter amongst us.
It's a good segue, really, into that part of the show, because I know you've backed Arsenal all season to win the league. They beat Man City. It was a very close, high-quality defensive game anyway. Arsenal came out on top for the first time in 8 years. They've got a bigger gap at this stage of the season than they had over City last year. You must be, again, in terms of your prediction, I know you don't want Arsenal to win the league. You want Liverpool to. But in terms of your prediction, you must be a lot more confident now, having seen them get over that hurdle with City.
Yes. Look, Arsenal, here's the thing, bro. Like, with Arsenal, thing is, okay, I'm going to just say it. I want to stop myself, but I can't. I'm a Liverpool fan. I don't need to create and force a rivalry like certain other clubs, Man City, need to do. I don't need to. Like, I can just sit up here and actually hate actual clubs I hate. I hate Manchester United. I hate Everton. To a smaller degree, Chelsea and City. I have zero hatred towards Arsenal. My entire life, we've been crap when they've been good. They've been good when we've been crap. We've never been in a race together or any of that. If Liverpool and Arsenal are in a title race, I'm backing Liverpool 100%. However, in terms of prediction, then I did predict at the start of the season that Arsenal will win the league. And I think this squad is a bit more mature. It's a bit more complete. I think Declan Rice winning the Conference League with West Ham is genuinely a how can I say this, is a great experience for him in terms of winning. I sat up here when 99% of the people after City won the treble came out and said City are going to win the league. I don't think City are going to win the league. City are not leaving this season with the Premier League title. They're not. There is a reason why Alex Ferguson and Bob Paisley and great managers across history, 3-peats have happened before, but 4-peats haven't happened. 4-peats have not happened for a good reason. And I'm seeing that with City. By the way, City as well have had as well a relatively easy start. Like, besides going to the Emirates away, they have had a relatively easy start as well. So I think with Manchester City, by the way, the fact that Rodri didn't play the 3 games and they lost all 3, I don't know. Like, this is mad. Like,
crazy.
it's just like, I'm not gonna go as far as calling them a one-man team or something, because City are stacked. But the fact that, like, let's look at it this way: Rodri didn't play. They lost to Wolves. They lost to Newcastle. They lost to Arsenal. Let's say they lost to Arsenal away from home. Fair enough. But Wolves away, Newcastle away, specifically given the fact that they went strong against Newcastle as well. Newcastle actually had a couple players playing. I didn't know who the hell they were. Some guy called Cyrus. I've never heard of him my whole life.
Dummett was playing that game.
Paul Dummett. Like, that's such a throwback name as well. So for me, I don't think City are leaving this season with a Premier League title. I think Arsenal are going to win the league this season. With Liverpool, though, because since we're talking about title race, we must keep it close until January. If we keep it close until January and then make the proper signings in January, then stuff will change for us. So this is the thing. But one thing I will be critical of Klopp this season is I think he's taking the Europa League group stages too seriously. I would have been rotated a little bit more. You know, seeing the likes of Van Dijk, Salah, players like that in a couple of Europa League games. I don't like that. We're not going to moan about it now because we're winning. But come March time, I don't want to hear anyone talk about fatigue, shit like that. So for me, I think Arsenal win the league this season. And I'll be honest with you, if they do win it, then they do deserve it. And you know, they have to earn the right to win the league this season. And I don't think City are forfeiting. And by the way, you can see it in the game. Speaking of, I'm going to give Arsenal praise again now. When you watch a game like Arsenal versus Manchester City, or you watch Liverpool versus Manchester City, or even you watch Arsenal versus Man United back in the days where there was a title race, games like that, games like this are not open. Games like this are not tit for tat, attack for attack. Arteta's defensive masterclass was on full display against Manchester City. The fact that Haaland had 0 XG explains everything to me. Like Erling Haaland, who many recognize as the best striker on earth, many people say, had 0 XG. 0 expected goals. This was Manchester City's lowest shots on target since 2010. So we're talking about since Pep Guardiola, since Pellegrini, since Mancini. We're talking 2010. I believe Mark Hughes was the manager. I could be wrong, before Mancini. So it was a long ass time ago that they last had a shot on target. So one shot on target, sorry. So for me, the fact that they defended that well is a positive indication. And one guy I'm going to prop up is William Saliba. I think Saliba was phenomenal in that game. I watched some of the straight facts yesterday. I hear why Sava is saying Saliba is the best player in the league. I wouldn't go that far, but I think he's been one of the better players in the league this season. Definitely the best centre-back in the league so far this year. And he's like Saliba's like a Rolls Royce now. Like Saliba in these next 2-3 years could become, you know, maybe even quicker than that. But the problem is we need consistency from players. That's the thing. So we need them to do it multiple times. Saliba could become the best centre-back on earth. You know, and he's definitely in that conversation right now. So for me, I think the fact that he had 0 XG tells you all you need to know. He had fantastic defensive display. And for me, if I'm being honest, look, you create your own luck. Yes, they scored with a deflected goal. But when I look at the stats, Arsenal had 12 shots. City had 4. Arsenal created their own luck. City passed left, passed right 800 times, did fuck all with it. That's not my problem. They were toothless. And there's a final guy I want to speak on. Phil Foden. It's time for Phil Foden to rise. This was his opportunity. This was his opportunity to play in midfield, to deliver, play right wing, wherever, deliver. And he failed to do so, in my opinion. I don't think Phil Foden's delivered these last 3 games. I'm just being completely honest. You know, we sit up here and we do Foden Saka conversations. We say Foden is one of the generational talents, blah, 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 blah. And for me, Phil Foden didn't step up to the plate when it was required of him. And if you're going to say Rodri was out, so was Saka. So you can't sit up here and pick and choose who you feel bad for with injuries.
And so was Partey, and Timber's out, and whatever else. Martinelli didn't start the game. So I keep hearing this. And the thing is, back to Phil Foden in a second, I don't even feel sorry for Rodri being missing. He was missing because he strangled someone. It's not even, there should be 0 sympathy. But anyway, but back to Phil Foden. Sorry, mate, go on.
Yeah, with Phil Foden, I think this is the time now where you expect Phil Foden to step up. Because Phil Foden, if you go back 3 years, Phil Foden was put in lists next to Kylian. Now, if you mention Kylian and Phil Foden in the same sentence, you get laughed at, and rightfully so. I can't lie to you. I was disappointed in Phil Foden's performances because he should have stepped up. He should have stepped up, and he hasn't stepped up, and that's the ultimate reality for me. And by the way, even Kovovic should have been sent off, as we've been speaking about earlier, which would have given an even further advantage to Arsenal. And in case you guys are unaware, let me give you two quick statistics. Edin Ketia had more XG than Erling Haaland, and Zinchenko had more XG than Erling Haaland. This is why later on this October, Lionel Andres Messi will be lifting that Ballon d'Or, because you cannot give a cyborg a Ballon d'Or. Leave that to the human beings.
Well, when it comes to Phil Foden, what's interesting is around 2 years ago, Pep Guardiola's words were, and I want to read it out verbatim. So the headlines say he said he's better than Messi. He didn't say that. What he said is, I have said many times in press conferences, but maybe not said it in front of him, Phil is the most talented player I've ever seen in my career as a manager. So he hasn't name dropped Messi, but if he's the most talented young player we've ever seen, that implies he thinks he's more talented than Messi because he's the most. I think Phil Foden's issue is that in those really important formative years as a younger player, when you need regular starts, he wasn't starting. I think the way City, and whether that City rotate loads of people in and out. There's times where why is John Stones on the bench for 4 months? Well, because of the way the system's changed or whatever else. But when you're as young as Phil Jones was, 17, 18, 19, 20, if you're not playing, and I'm not too sorry, I think when I said Phil Jones, I meant Phil Foden. How old is Phil Foden now? He's 23 now. He's 24 at the end of this season. He is not, again, officially he can still win Young Player of the Year, but he's not a youngster per se anymore. He's not a 17, 18-year-old. He can still get better from this point, but I actually think what he may just have suffered with is not starting enough games. And even looking now in his career, 13 league games, 23 league games, 28, 32. But how many were sub appearances? I don't know. I need to go and check that as an example. How many were actually starts? You know, he's played 200. He's featured in 200. He's featured in 229 games, which is great. But how many has he started in? How many have been the big games? How often has he gone, right, the next 4, 5, 6 games, you are starting them all. All the big games you're starting. And now he's 23. It's like, go and do it. I remember this happening at Man United with a young player who wasn't as talented. His name was Anderson. And people always laugh because of what he turned into. But he was a golden ball winner. And when he came to Man United in his first 18 months to 2 years, this man was class. His issue then was injuries came in and he just could never get a regular run of games. And by the time he hit the 23, 24-year age, he just hadn't developed enough as a youngster and he wasn't ever good enough to maintain a starting position. So whatever the reason you're not playing, whether it's injuries, whether it's the manager fancying other people, and I always feel a bit sorry for Phil Foden because no matter what happens, he's always told you're the next guy for this role, and then they either buy someone or promote somebody else. I remember City fans told me he will step in as soon as David Silva leaves. He's the replacement and will come straight in. As soon as this player goes, he'll go there. And he always seems to me to be second choice. I think what Phil Foden needs to do is leave Manchester City and be the main man somewhere. I think that might really help him.
Like Cole Palmer?
Help him. Maybe not like Paul Pogba. Definitely don't.
No, I said like Cole Palmer.
Oh, Cole Palmer. Maybe. Let's see what Cole Palmer does. But I still think he needs to step away, maybe. I'll give the example who it's like. He's slightly older. But Mo Salah and KDB, they had to leave Chelsea to get regular game time. Now look at them. If they'd have both stayed at Chelsea, they may never have been given the game time. And we may not even know who they are anymore. They might both be playing at a much substandard level because in those important, informative years, if they were just sitting on that bench and not playing regular first-team football, a lot of players rot. A lot of players struggle with that. And I think that's what Phil Foden's suffering with. He needs... Phil Foden's not going anywhere. And I get you don't want him to go anywhere. You love him. But I'm not talking about City. I'm talking about him as an individual. Unless he plays week in, week out and knows that, I never think you'll get the best out of him. I really, really do. I really do.
That is true. Until he gets regular game time. Thing is, we have been told multiple times, David Silva, KDB got injured, etc. And he's still not starting games. So Hey, and when he starts, he doesn't deliver like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I understand even why, from Pep's perspective, he doesn't start him. But look, it could be a development thing, as you say. But the problem is, where does he move to right now? He obviously ain't gonna go Liverpool or United. I doubt they'd sell him to Arsenal. That's not gonna happen. So you're looking at a Chelsea or a Spurs, maybe. If he goes to Spurs, he's never winning a trophy in his whole life. So it's either that or Chelsea. So good luck to him. Or Villa, maybe, if he wants to be the guy in that project. I don't know.
No, mate, I hear you on. I do hear you on that. I really, really do. And it's not a dig at Foden. I think he's an extremely, extremely talented football player. I really, really do. I just think he needs a place to go where he's going to be the main man. And it's almost like he keeps being. And look, and maybe he's not being given it because he isn't delivering. Maybe he isn't good enough. And I keep talking about Occam's razor, and the most simple explanation is probably the most likely explanation. Maybe the reason he doesn't start regularly is because Pep don't think he's good enough. Like, it could just be that. And we're deeping it for all these other reasons. There's we always go about favorites. And why is he always picking this player over my favorite? Well, maybe it isn't so much favorites as in the way your mind perceives it. Like I think some people, maybe they had a sibling that was preferred by their parents and they're upset about it. And it's like a deep lying. I don't think managers are always like that. It's just, I just don't think Joe Bloggs is good enough, so I don't pick him. It's not about, I think the other two are better. I do think the other two are better, but it doesn't mean it's because I like them more as people or I'm never going to drop them. Maybe just your guy ain't the guy. It's as simple as that. This is normally the right outcome of these things here. This super chat here says 14 apologies last season, 2 for Arsenal, which cost us 5 points. The league was won by 5 points. If Arsenal lost that game, I assume you would have received an apology. Oh yeah.
Yes.
We would have got an apology.
If Kovovic got a red card, if Kovovic didn't get a red card and City won the game, that's what I said earlier on. Michael, big up to you, by the way, because that's what I said earlier on. I said with the Kovovic situation, had City won that game, we would be sat here talking about the PGMOL, apologies, referees, VAR for the second week consecutively. So make no mistake, it was that Martinelli goal at the end that probably even saved the referees' asses. That's the ultimate reality. Because had that Martinelli goal not went in, we'd be sat there going like, ooh, City beat Arsenal. Should Kovacic have been sent off? Oh my God, let's release the audio, blah, blah, blah. So the outcome of the game actually helped the referees' cases more than anything else. And it's getting to the point now where we have to separate clubs at the end of the season by how many apologies they've received instead of goal difference. I think that would be probably more accurate representation.
This is a City are in bed with PG MOL. Look, the only decision that comes to mind that they had that they could really complain about was the Bruno Rashford offside situation in the derby. And
which
I understand,
was offside, by the way, given the rules.
And I get why people would say it's offside. The irony is, again, though, we were able to play it. We played a comp on Twitter that showed multiple other offsides like that not being given. However, that's the only decision I can think of where City have a genuine claim. They scored a 40-yard offside goal before. The Rodri handball against Everton stands out to me.
Cost us the league title.
Yeah. They obviously Kovacic at the weekend. And listen, City fans, let us know in the comments, what decisions do you feel have gone against you in the Premier League? I'd love to get your take on that. I'd love to know what you think has gone against you VAR-wise, where you've been robbed, because maybe we're not seeing it from your point of view and perspective, and I want to be kind of fair about that. Terry, KSI or Tommy Fury, who's your favorite?
I like KSI's videos. I watch them. They're funny.
I would like KSI to win because he trains out of shoe fighters, and that's a school. I never trained with them, but I knew them growing up in the martial arts world. Good friend of mine, Michael Page, trains there. So because of the school he's at, I'd like him to win. And I say school, it's more of a martial arts place than anywhere else. However, if I'm putting money on it, I'm betting on Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is exponentially bigger, is a boxer, and I just don't know if KSI is that good. When I watch him fight, he just throws windmills, and I think Tommy Fury might spark him out. Isn't Tommy Fury
an actual boxer as well?
Yeah, real boxer. And look, I don't know how good I don't think Tommy Fury is ever going to become a world champion. He's nowhere near as good as his brother Tyson Fury, but he is a better boxer. And look, Jake Paul's not a bad boxer for someone who's only had the amount of fights he's had. And he did kind of catch him at the end and put Tommy Fury down, but he was outboxed. I think Tommy Fury has kind of got that pressure off his back of having to fight one of these guys. I think he wins. I think he wins by KO as well. And you got to remember, the only reason Logan Paul didn't KO, who's nowhere near as good a boxer as his brother Jake, the only reason Logan Paul didn't KO KSI is because once he knocked him down, he hit him again when he was on the ground, and they let him recover. So he was finished at that point, KSI. But I'd love KSI to win. I really would love him to win. But yeah, this is probably right. It will probably be a draw. You're right. Yeah, it'd probably be a draw. There's no doubt about that. Hassam, if City win at Anfield, are you out of the title race?
City win at Anfield. How long is that game? We play them at the Etihad first, by the way. Let me check when that game is to begin with. So,
what's the game that's now been arranged for 12:30 after the international break? Next international break. Is that one?
Bro, the game that you're asking about is on March 9th. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen? How am I supposed to answer you a game 6 months before? Bloody hell, March 9th, you want me to answer from now. The 12:30 kickoff, apparently the game that Liverpool are playing against City at the Etihad has been rescheduled for a 12:30 p.m. kickoff. Now, I'm not for conspiracy theories, and some people might come tell me, oh my God, Liverpool fans are playing the victim again, and blah, 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 victim complex. The reality is, this is going to be the third international break in a row in which we have a 12:30 p.m. kickoff. Now, what I don't understand is, whoever the fuck is doing the Premier League scheduling, honestly, this season, like, we have had so many crap fixtures on one day and so many good fixtures on the next day. I don't know who the hell is responsible for Premier League scheduling, but he needs to get his shit together. Jurgen Klopp is rightfully going, if this decision is final, I think it's some TNT sports shit. If this decision is final, then I expect Jurgen Klopp to moan and speak on it, and he has every single right to do so. Because after this international break, 12:30 kickoff, Everton. Last international break, 12:30 kickoff, we played as well. And it's going to happen again against Manchester City. Liverpool versus Manchester City is a game that everyone around the world wants to watch. It's a game that cannot be scheduled at 12:30 on a Saturday. And the reality is, Liverpool Football Club got 3 South American players, which means that they will be in Bolivia or Argentina or Peru or Colombia 24 hours, 48 hours before that game. So that is like a genuine thing where you have to sit up here and go like, it's just you have to question the fairness of the Premier League at this point. Like,
yeah, you look at all the other fixtures that weekend. You've got like Fulham versus Wolves. That could easily be a 12:30 game. Like you can, there's loads of things you could do. You've obviously got like Chelsea play Newcastle. Newcastle at Champions League football, but you could look at teams that are maybe not in Europe. Spurs play Aston Villa. So Aston Villa are, but it's not as big a game. So there are different things that you can do, but yeah, you guys hate those 12:30 kickoffs. But you know,
trying to find you the statistic, because there was a statistic on Twitter for how many 12:30 kickoffs Liverpool have had, and it's actually disgusting. It's something like 12:30 kickoffs ever since this whole kickoff 30 thing has happened. This 12:30 kickoff thing has happened after the international break. I think we've had 12 of them, which is double the guy in second position, the club in second position. Look, man, like, I understand you want an Arsenal Manchester City title race, but don't try to force me out of it. I don't like shit like this. I just don't like shit like this. It just gets on my nerves. We have to keep it as fair as possible. And by the way, as you said, I'm not even asking for it to be moved to another day. At least make it a 5:30 kickoff. Like, bloody hell. Like, make it the 5:30 on a Saturday. Make it at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. Something like that. I understand, that City play on Tuesday, but, like, it's just messing up the whole Premier League. That's a game everyone looks forward to, that they've just fucked up like that. Like, Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz, Alexis McAllister. These are players that are going to be back. And Everton, by the way, Merseyside derby this Saturday. Next Saturday, sorry. Merseyside derby.
Is it? What time?
Merseyside derby, 12:30 kickoff, Saturday as well. You see why we're not making this shit up? This is real. Like, this is actually, like, if I say it's an agenda against Liverpool, I'm not even capping at this point. It's fucking insane, Terry, man. We can't sit up here and do this, man, every time.
Do you know what's crazy about it? That Saturday is mad, right? The Saturday, you've got the 12:30 game, Liverpool U. City play on at 3, Newcastle at 3, and then you've got Chelsea, Arsenal at 5:30, Man United, Sheffield United at 8. But then on the Sunday, there's just one game. So what stops them from having no 12:30 game at all? And you just then have the other games remain the same, and then you have Liverpool versus Aston Villa on the Sunday. I cannot fathom what stops them from doing that, barring TV and money. It's crazy.
No, but as in Sunday, isn't it usually what we've been used to is the 4:30 kickoff on a Sunday is usually the biggest game, right? That's usually what they do.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, typically that's what they do, and it's not even happening. It's just
the game on the Sunday is going to be Aston Villa versus West Ham, which is not a bad game, but it's not Super Sunday. That weekend you've got that weekend you've got the Merseyside derby and you've got Chelsea Arsenal. Neither's on the Sunday. Everything's on the Saturday, and I like it spread out. I like it spread over the weekend personally. That's how I like it.
And if Chelsea Arsenal is Saturday because it's a big game and blah blah blah, and Arsenal play in the Champions League, no problem. I play in Europa League. Why am I not the Sunday game? we play Thursday. So if we play Thursday, I think Sunday to Thursday is enough rest for anyone on earth.
Mate, it makes perfect sense. This year says Spurs may not even get top 4 in my opinion. No depth is what Matthew says.
W Matthew, thank you. I don't even think Spurs' top 4 position is guaranteed. And by the way, talks about James Maddison being the best player in the league make me sick. People need to be.
I saw a list that 90 Min Football put out where they put out of current players in the world, the top 20 players in the world, they had James Maddison in at number 11.
Listen, there are standout players on earth right now. James Maddison is not one of them. I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to be honest. The reason why I was bald is one of the standout players, aka Jude Bellingham. Mo Salah is one of the standout players. Julian Alvarez is one of the standout players. There's a striker in the Bundesliga. He scored 13 goals or something mad in the first 7-8 games. I think his name is Guesi. Kane is one of the standout players on earth right now. He's played fantastic. I would say Saliba is one of the standout players right now as well. There is no standout best player on earth, full stop. You could even say Rodri, but he hasn't played the last 3 games. But like, I don't think this is one of the few times probably in late history where I can't sit up here and go like there is a standout best player on earth and there is no one else to speak to him. Like I don't think, and it's like that. I think it's a table where 5-6 people sit, and Maddison doesn't sit on that table. He just simply doesn't.
Yeah,
Big up Moussa Tamari though. My Jordanian winger playing in the French league, 2nd most goals, 2nd most GA behind Kylian Mbappe. Let's go.
So let me see if I can find this post. I'll try and find this post somewhere. Here it is, right? Here it is. The best footballers in the world, 2023-24. So they said number 1, Jude Bellingham. Number 2, Mo Salah. Number 3 through me, Lautaro Martinez. Number 3.
Oh yeah, Lautaro. I forgot to mention. Lautaro's had a phenomenal start to the season.
Okay, has cool. I haven't been watching that league. So I'll number 4, Haaland. Number 5, Mbappe. Number 6, Rodri. Number 7, Kane. Number 8 is that guy. He's young lad in Germany scoring all the goals at the minute. Is it Guirassy, I think it's pronounced. Guirassy. Number 9 is Santiago Jimenez. Number 10, Cristiano Ronaldo. Number 10, James Maddison. Number 12, Victor Boniface. Number 13, Declan Rice. Number 14, Leroy Sané. Number 15, Lionel Messi. So they currently have Maddison above Messi. Number 16, William Saliba. Number 17, Son Heung-min. Number 18, 18th best player in the world, they say Bruno Guimaraes. Number 19, they have Alisson Becker. And at number 20, they have German Cano.
I think, get ready for the bombshell. Declan Rice has been better than Maddison this season. I think Declan Rice has been one of the best players in the league this season. The problem is, this is the issue with the Rice conversation. I'm telling you the issue. The issue with the Rice conversation is it's not seen in GA. It's not seen statistically. But when you watch Arsenal Football Club, the way they keep the shape and the way he defends and the way he operates in that midfield, you've got to put massive respect on Declan Rice's name. I think Declan Rice right now, bar Manchester City, because you have to put respect on Rodri's name. Bar Manchester City, Declan Rice starts for every single club. Maybe on earth, you could say Frankie de Jong for Barca is a conversation. You say Real Madrid's a conversation. Declan Rice, people need to put respect on his name. Here's the thing. People will mention price tag, and that's fair enough. The reality is Maddison was bought for 30 and Declan Rice was bought for 100 million. We understand that. But with Declan Rice, his impact on Arsenal is not something that you can push to the side. Make no mistake, had they not signed Declan Rice and Partey got injured again, yay, shock, Partey's injured, and Partey got injured again and they had to play Jorginho, I don't even think they have like 5-6. They probably have 5-6 points less than what they have right now. And that is the impact for me of Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice has been absolutely phenomenal. Sometimes we let price tags get into the way of our judgment or GA. With Declan Rice, it's never going to show statistically on a GA basis. But if you watch it, if you watch football, if you watch Arsenal games, you understand that he holds the position. He keeps Arsenal ticking from a defensive perspective. And all you have to do is go watch that City game. Just go watch that City game. That Arsenal versus Manchester City game. Declan Rice was the best midfielder on that whole pitch. By far. So for me, I think if I'm saying the best players in the league this season, I'd say Salah, I'd say Rice, I'd say Saliba, I'd say Maddison, and
do you know what I find interesting about it though? It's like, listen, I love Cristiano Ronaldo and I love Messi. But if we're basing it on form, we know how good they are, and they're scoring lots of goals and doing well in the leagues they're in. But for me, Son being 17th when he's been brilliant in the Premier League is better than what Ronaldo is doing in the Saudi league, because you also have to factor in the league that people are in, as an example. And I know that this is based on this season, and you could argue James Maddison should be on that list. Some of the players I've not even heard of. I'm not going to lie to you. But for me, there are people out there that are like, I don't know. I think Maddison's been brilliant. But I think, again, we've still got to see how he performs for a longer period of time at this level. And we had a big debate on the top six a few weeks ago.
And how he performs, not against Luton, not against Sheffield, not against
Burnley. Look, he's doing good in the big games so far. But he's only had 3 big games in his whole career outside the FA Cup.
Has he done well? First 34 minutes pre the Curtis Jones red card? Liverpool nullified the fuck
I get that. I get that. He did well against United. I thought he did very well against Arsenal. This super chat here says, a little off topic, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the offside goal in the second. We spoke about it earlier in the show, Lee. I'm sorry you missed it. It is timestamped when we re-upload, so you can go back and look at it. Timestamped from minute 17 of the show. But it was horrendous officiating, still no clarity. What a goal by Scott. By the way, we didn't really mention it. What a goal by Scott McTominay. Suddenly, at 26, 27, has found these goal-scoring boots out of nowhere. Well, fair play to him.
Why don't you just play him further up top then for Man United?
We should. He's better up top than he is near our box. Big up, guys. Have you ever thought of doing fantasy draft shows with a panel? Watch this space. We've got something in the pipeline. Well, I've got something in the pipeline. It's not going to be on the Football Terrace, actually. It's going to be a new thing that I've got in the pipeline. But yeah, watch this space. It's going to be interesting, Smithers. Interesting, Smithers. Well, he says excellent, Smithers, but I'm saying interesting because I just changed the phrase from The Simpsons. Need to remember how well rugby is officiated. It is because it's transparent. That's why you get less arguments.
And many other sports as well. In the NBA, the referees explain to you exactly why they made said decision. Same in cricket. The umpire has to speak as well. Like, it's just, that's the reality.
No, I agree. You see Arsenal's game. You do not see Declan Rice. You see Declan Rice. You understand the whole game. We robbed West Ham in broad daylight. Yeah, listen, the players that are good that do Declan Rice's job, you'll often see them go unnoticed in games. But you can see less opportunities, you can see less goals, you win more games, you become harder to beat. He isn't spectacular and flashy. It's why for me, England's biggest mistake of the last generation of players was not building the team around Michael Carrick. They were better midfielders in terms of goal scoring. They were better midfielders in terms of breaking the lines. But Michael Carrick, at his job, sitting back deep, was better than Gerrard. He was better than Lampard. He was better than anybody. Gareth Barry and all these. Do you know what's his name? Scott Parker got put in that role. Michael Carrick was the guy. And do you know how we know he was better? He did that job for a decade at Man United, won the most trophies, and was influential in Champions Leagues. By the way, 3 Champions League finals he got his team to, winning one of them, multiple Premier Leagues. I wish Carrick was I'm about to say I wish he was alive. I wish he was playing in this era, because his skill, he's quality would be celebrated more. But Declan Rice is amazing. And Sam said it earlier. I looked at that game as I wouldn't want matches like that every week, but I enjoyed the spectacle of 2 teams that were hard to beat trying to break each other down. For me, it was like a game of chess. It was like watching 2 really good boxers box each other. And a lot of casual boxing fans only like a slugfest. Casual UFC fans, MMA fans only like it when someone gets absolutely sparked out. I quite like a very technical game where there might be grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu comes into play for 2/3 of it. If you don't understand the sport well enough, you won't enjoy those moments. And there's a lot of casual fans of all sports. I think that's what the problem was. There's so many casuals out there.
versus Connor. I'm going to smash your boy, guys. That was a good.
Wait,
I stayed up for that. I stayed up.
You watched that fight back. Habib, of course, he deserved to win. He was a better guy, but it weren't. But you actually go back and look at the scorecard. No one had taken that many rounds off of him up until that point. It was the fact. Listen, we know why they didn't run it back. One, they both did. Listen, Conor McGregor did crazy stuff, disgusting stuff in the lead up to that fight. Habib and his team reacted afterwards, and it was a madness. And then by the time Conor came back, Habib had retired. That's the one fight. If I could run back one fight again, it would be that one. Everything about that fight was a madness.
Habib would win again.
I think Habib would win again. And when it comes to the fighting, I'm not a big fan of Conor McGregor's antics outside the octagon. As a fighter, I love what Conor McGregor does. But if I was putting money on it, I'd be betting on.
Habib, I was on my way to work in that game. I stayed up the whole night to watch No, I didn't stay up the whole night. I actually slept like 3 hours. I woke up at like 5 a.m. I'm like, is the fight now? Is the fight now? And then the undercards, and then the other matches. And that match started at like 7 a.m. And I was supposed to drive. So I parked up my car. I was like, I'm going to be late to work today. And I fully just watched it in my car before I went to work. And I celebrated that as well. Because I think Khabib dropped him as well, one of the punches. Bro, that was a good time. Conor done a great job marketing for the sport. We cannot deny this. Conor is one of the reasons why so many people exist who watch UFC nowadays. Like many people don't know Chuck Liddell, they don't know Rampage Jackson, they don't know the old days. No. And
McGregor made some. It made it. I think McGregor was one of the key reasons, along with the impeccable running of the business by the UFC. McGregor is one of the reasons it became mainstream. He really is, and like a lot of people dislike him, and I understand why. But in terms of a lot of my admiration for him is what he's done for a sport that centered around martial arts, which was what my whole childhood was about, my young adolescence. So that's why I've got a lot of respect for him. But I don't really take. I'm someone that likes storylines. So again, I'm not a fan of Kobe Covington, but I like a Kobe Covington fight week because you know it's going to get a bit spicy. You know, some madnesses are going to happen, and there's always an edge about those weeks. So there's certain fighters who I may not necessarily advocate their behavior, but in terms of the fight weeks, you know it's going to be lit 110%. And hey, look, boxing's decent, but yeah, for me, if I had to choose one to finish now, I'd pick boxing to finish over the UFC. It's a much better organization in my personal opinion overall. The cards are always better. The cards are always good. You know, with boxing, tune in for the last fight normally, but there we go. There we go. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in to the show today. I really appreciate it. All my super chatters, everyone who's hit the like button so far, thank you. Sam, always a pleasure to share the screen with you. We've got to get through this. The thing is, we've got to get through this weekend now of there being obviously international football, but we're only a week away. So we've got to remember, we're only 7 days away now from football coming back. So we can push through it. We can get through this rubbish international break. Listen, viewers, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.